The Book of Enoch. Book 3. Luminaries. Enoch 72. The book of the courses of the luminaries of the heaven and the relations of each, according to their classes, their dominion, their seasons, according to their names, places of origin, according to their months, which the holy angel Uriel their leader who was with me showed me. He showed me all their laws exactly as they are, how it is with regard to all the years of the world, and unto eternity until the new creation is accomplished which dure until eternity. This is the first law of the luminaries. The luminary in the sun has its rising in the eastern portals of the heaven, and its setting in the western portals of the heaven. I saw 6 portals out of which the sun rises, and 6 portals in which the sun sets. The moon also rises, and sets through these portals, and the leaders of the stars, and those led by them. 6 in the east, and 6 in the west, following each other in accurately corresponding order. Also many windows to the right and left of these portals. First there goes forth the great luminary, named the sun, and his circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and he is quite filled with illuminating and heating fire. The chariots on which he ascends are driven by the wind, and the sun disappears from the heaven as he sets, and returns through the north in order to reach the east, and is so guided that he comes to that portal, and shines in the face of the heaven. In this way he rises in the first month in the great portal, and indeed rises through the 4th of those 6 portals in the east. In that 4th portal through which the sun rises in the first month are 12 window openings, from which proceeds a flame when they are opened in their season. When the sun rises in the heaven, he comes forth through that 4th portal 30 mornings in succession, and sets directly opposite in the 4th portal in the west of the heaven. During this period day becomes longer than day, and night shorter than night to the 30th morning. On that day the day is 2 parts longer than the night, and the day amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. The sun rises from that 4th portal, and sets in the 4th, and returns to the 5th portal of the east 30 mornings in succession, and rises from, and sets in the 5th portal. Then the day becomes longer by 2 parts, and amounts to 11 parts, and the night becomes shorter, and amounts to 7 parts. The sun returns to the east, and enters into the 6th portal, and rises, and sets in the 6th portal 1 and 30 mornings in succession on account of its sign. On that day the day becomes longer than the night, so that it amounts to double the night. The sun mounts up to make the day shorter, and the night longer, and the sun returns to the east, and enters into the 6th portal, and rises from it, and sets 30 mornings. When 30 mornings have elapsed, the day decreases by exactly 1 part, and amounts to 11 parts, and the night to 7 parts. The sun goes forth from that 6th portal in the west, and goes to the east, and rises all 30 mornings in the 5th portal, and sets in the west again in the 5th western portal. On that day the day decreases by 2 parts, and amounts to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. The sun rises from that 5th portal, and sets in the 5th portal of the west, and rises for 1 and 30 mornings in the 4th portal on account of its sign, and sets in the west. On that day the day is equalized to the night, and becomes of equal length, and the day amounts to 9 parts, and the night to 9 parts. The sun rises from that portal, and sets in the west, and returns to the east, and rises 30 mornings in the 3rd portal, and sets in the west in the third portal. On that day the night becomes longer than the day, and night becomes longer than night, and day shorter than day until the 30th morning, and the night amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the day to 8 parts. The sun rises from that third portal, and sets in the third portal in the west, and returns to the east, and for 30 mornings rises in the second portal of the east, and in like manner sets in the second portal in the west of the heaven. On that day the night amounts to 11 parts, and the day to 7 parts. The sun rises on that day from that second portal, and sets in the west in the second portal, and returns to the east into the first portal for 130 mornings, and sets in the west in the first portal. On that day the night becomes longer, and amounts to double the day. The night amounts exactly to 12 parts, and the day to 6. The sun has traversed the divisions of his orbit, and turns again on that his orbit, and enters that portal 30 mornings, and sets also in the west opposite to it. On that day the night decreases in length by 1 part, and it amounts to 11 parts, and the day to 7 parts. The sun returns, and enters into the second portal in the east, and returns on that his orbit for 30 mornings, rising and setting. On that day the night decreases in length, and the night amounts to 10 parts, and the day to 8. On that day the sun rises from that second portal, and sets in the west, and returns to the east, and rises in the third portal for 130 mornings, and sets in the west of the heaven. On that day the night decreases, and amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts, and the night is equal to the day, and the year amounts exactly to 364 days. The length of the day, and of the night, and the shortness of the day, and of the night, through the course of the sun they are separated. On that account its course by day becomes daily longer, and its course by night nightly shorter. This is the law, and the course of the sun, and his return as often as he returns 60 times, and rises, mean, the great luminary which is named the sun, forever and ever. That which so rises is the great luminary, being so named according to its appearance, according to the command of the Lord. As he rises so he sets, and decreases not, and rests not, but runs day and night, and his light is 7-fold brighter than that of the moon. But as regards size they are both equal. Enoch Slavonic 12. And I looked and saw other flying creatures, their names, phoenixes and shorkidre, wonderful and strange in appearance, with the feet and tails of lions, and the heads of crocodiles. Their appearance was of a purple color, like the rainbow. Their size, 900 measures. Their wings were like those of angels, each with 12, and they tend the chariot of the sun, and go with him, bringing heat and dew, as they are ordered by God. So the sun makes his revolutions, goes under the heavens, and goes under the earth with the light of his beams unceasingly. Enoch Slavonic 13. These men brought me to the east and showed me the gates, by which the sun goes forth at the appointed seasons, and according to the revolution of the months of the whole year, and according to the number of the hours, day and night. And I saw the 6 great gates open, each gate having 61 stadia, and a quarter of 1 stadium. I truly measured them and understood their size to be so much, by which the sun goes forth, and he goes to the west and makes his course correspond. He proceeds through all the months. By the first gates, he goes out 42 days. By the second gates, 35 days. by the fourth gates, 35, by the fifth gates, 5, by the sixth gates, 45. So he returns from the sixth gates in the course of time, and he enters by the fifth gates during 35 days, by the fourth gates, 35, by the third gates during 35 days, by the second gates, 35. So the days of the whole year are finished according to the alternation of the 4 seasons. Enoch Slavonic 14. And then these men took me to the west of the heavens, and showed me 6 great gates open, corresponding to the eastern gates, opposite to which the sun goes out by the eastern gates, according to the number of the days, 365, and the quarter of a day. So he sets by the western gates. When he goes out by the western gates, 400 angels take his crown and bring it to the Lord. The sun revolves in his chariot and goes without light for 7 complete hours in the night. When he comes near the east at the 8th hour of the night, the 400 angels bring his crown and crown him. Enoch Slavonic 15. Then sang the creatures called the phoenixes and the shorkidri. On this account every bird claps its wings, rejoicing at the giver of light, and they sang a song at the command of the Lord. The giver of light comes to give his brightness to the whole world. They showed me the calculation of the going of the sun. The gates by which he enters and goes out are great gates, which God made for the computation of the year. On this account the sun is great. Enoch Slavonic 16. The other, the computation of the moon, these men showed me, all the goings and revolutions. They pointed out the gates to me, 12 great gates extending from the west to the east, by which the moon enters and goes out at the customary times. She enters the first gate when the sun is in the west 31 days exactly, by the second gate 31 days exactly, by the third gate 30 days exactly, by the fourth gate 30 days exactly, by the fifth gate 31 days exactly, by the sixth gate 31 days exactly, by the seventh gate 30 days exactly, by the eighth gate 31 days exactly, by the ninth gate 31 days exactly, by the 10th gate 30 exactly, by the 11th gate 31 days exactly, by the 12th gate 28 days exactly. And so by the western gates in her revolutions, and corresponding to the number of the eastern gate she goes, and accomplishes the year. Unto the sun there acts 365 days, and a quarter of 1 day, but in the lunar year there are 354 days, making 12 months of 29 days, and there remain 11 days over, which belong to the solar circle of the whole year, and are lunar impacts of the whole year. So the great circle has 532 years. The fourth part is neglected during 3 years, and the fourth year completes it exactly. On account of this they are omitted from the heavens during 3 years, and are not added to the number of the days. On which account these change the seasons of the year into new months, to make the number complete, and there are 2 others to diminish. When she has gone through the western gates, she returns, and goes to the eastern, with her light, and so she goes day and night in the heavenly circles, below all the circles more quickly than the winds of the heavens, and there are spirits, and creatures, and angels flying, with 6 wings to each of the angels. 7 are computed to the circle of the moon during a revolution of 19 years. Enoch 73. After this law I saw another law dealing with the smaller luminary, which is called the moon, Her circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and her chariot in which she rides is driven by the wind, and light is given to her in measure. Her rising and setting changes every month. Her days are like the days of the sun, and when her light is full it amounts to the 7th part of the light of the sun. Thus she rises, and her first phase in the east comes forth on the 30th morning. On that day she becomes visible, and constitutes for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day together with the sun in the portal where the sun rises. The one half of her projects by a 7th part, and her whole circumference is empty, without light, with the exception of 1/7 part of her, and the 14th part of the half of her light. When she receives 1/7 part of the half of her light amounts to 1/7 part, and the half thereof. She sets with the sun, and when the sun rises the moon rises with him, and receives the half of 1 part of light, and in that night in the beginning of her morning, in the beginning of her day, sets with the sun, and is invisible that night with the entire 14 parts, and the half of one of them. She rises on that day with exactly a 7th part, and comes forth, and receives from the rising of the sun, and in her remaining days she lightens up the 13 parts. Enoch 74. I saw another course, and the law prescribed to her as she performed her monthly revolution according to that law. Uriel, the holy angel who is the leader of them all, showed everything to me, and I wrote down their positions as he showed them to me, and I wrote down their months as they were, and the appearance of their lights until 15 days are expired. In single 7th parts she waxes until her light is completed in the east, and wanes in single 7th parts until her darkness is entirely completed in the west. In certain months she alters her settings, and in certain months she pursues her own peculiar course. In 2 the moon sets with the sun, in those 2 middle portals the 3rd and the 4th. For 7 days she goes forth, and turns about, and returns again through the portal where the sun rises, and in that portal her light is full, and she receives from the sun, and in 8 days enters the 6th portal from which the sun goes forth. When the sun goes forth from the 4th portal she goes forth 7 days, so that she goes forth from the 5th, and turns back again in 7 days into the 4th portal, and her light becomes full, and she recedes, and enters into the 1st portal in 8 days. She returns again in 7 days into the 4th portal from which the sun goes forth. Thus I saw their positions, the sun rising and setting according to the order of their months. In those days the sun has an overplus of 30 days in 5 years taken together, and all the days which belong to one of those 5 full years amount to 364 days. The overplus of the sun and of the stars amounts to 6 days. In 5 years, 6 days every year come to 30 days, and the moon falls behind the sun and stars to the number of 30 days. The moon brings in all the years exactly, so that their position is not prematurely advanced or delayed by a single day unto eternity, but complete the changing years with perfect justice in 364 days. In 3 years there are 1,092 days, and in 5 years 1,820 days, so that in 8 years there are 2,912 days. In 3 years there accrue to the moon herself 1,062 days, and in 5 years she falls 50 days behind. In 5 years there are 1,770 days, so that the days in 8 lunar years amount to 2,832. Thus in 8 years she falls behind to the amount of 80 days, and the sum total of the days she falls behind in 8 years is 80. The year is accurately completed in conformity with their stations, and the stations of the sun, as the sun and moon rise from the portals through which the sun rises and sets 30 days. Enoch Slavonic 17. In the middle of the heavens I saw an armed host, serving the Lord with cymbals and organs, and unceasing voice. I was delighted at hearing it. Enoch 75. The leaders of the heads of the thousands, who are placed over the whole creation, and over all the stars, have also to do with the 4 intercalary days, which cannot be separated from their function, according to the reckoning of the year. And those render service on the 4 days which are not reckoned in the reckoning of the year. Owing to them men go wrong therein, for those luminaries truly render service on the world's stations, 1 in the 1st, 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, and 1 in the 6th portal, and the harmony of the course of the world is brought about through its separate 364 world stations. For the signs, the times, the years, and the days were shown to me by the angel Uriel, whom the eternal Lord of glory sets over all the luminaries of the heaven, and in the world, that they should rule on the surface of the heaven and be seen on the earth, and be leaders for the day and the night. Mean, the sun, moon, stars, and all the ministering creatures which make their revolution in all the chariots of the heaven. In like manner Uriel showed me in the circumference of the sun's chariot in the heaven 12 door openings through which the rays of the sun break forth, and from them is warm diffused over the earth, when they are opened at appointed seasons. They are also such openings for the winds, and the spirit of the dew when they are opened, standing open in the heavens at the ends. 12 portals I saw in the heaven, at the ends of the earth, out of which go forth the sun, moon, and stars, and all the works of heaven in the east, and in the west. Many window openings are to the left and right of them, and 1 window at its season produces warmth, corresponding to those doors from which the stars come forth according as he has commanded them, and wherein they set, corresponding to their number. I saw chariots in the heaven, running in the world, above those portals, in which revolve the stars that never set. 1 is larger than all the rest, and makes its course through the entire world. Enoch 76. At the ends of the earth I saw 12 portals opened for all the winds, from which the winds proceed, and blow over the earth. 3 of them are opened on the face of the heavens, and 3 in the west, and 3 on the right of the heaven, and 3 on the left. The first 3 are those towards the east, and 3 towards the north, and after those on the left 3 towards the south, and 3 in the west. Through 4 of these come winds of blessing and prosperity, and from those 8 come hurtful winds. When they are sent, they bring destruction on all the earth, and on the water upon it, and on all who dwell thereon, and on everything which is in the water, and on the land. The first wind from those portals, called the east wind, comes forth through the first portal in the east, which inclines towards the south. From it come forth destruction, drought, heat, and rain. Through the second portal in the middle comes a favourable, and from it there come rain, and fruitfulness, and prosperity, and dew. And through the third portal which lies toward the north come cold, and drought. After these come forth the south winds through 3 portals. In the first place, through the first portal of those inclining to the east, comes forth a hot wind. Through the middle portal lying next to it there come forth fragrant smells, and dew, and rain, and prosperity, and health. Through the third portal lying to the west come forth dew, and rain, locusts, and destruction. After these the north winds. From the 7th portal towards the east come dew, and rain, locusts, and destruction. From the middle portal come in a direct direction rain, and dew, and health, and prosperity, and through the 3rd portal towards the west come cloud, and hoar frost, and snow, and rain, and dew, and locusts. After these the west winds. Through the first portal adjoining the north come forth dew, and rain, and hoar frost, and cold, and snow, and frost. From the middle portal come forth dew, and rain, prosperity, and blessing. And through the last portal which adjoins the south come forth drought, and destruction, conflagration, and death. The 12 portals of the 4 quarters of the heaven are completed, and all their laws, and all their plagues, and all their benefactions have I shown to you, my son Methuselah. Enoch 77. The first quarter is called the east, because it is the first, and the second, the south, because the Most High descends there, and there in quite a special sense he who is blessed forever comes down. The west is named the waning quarter, because there all the luminaries of the heaven wane, and go down. The 4th quarter, called the north, is divided into 3 parts. The first of them is for the dwelling of men, the second for the seas of water, with the valleys, and forests, and rivers, and darkness, and clouds, and the third part with the garden of righteousness. I saw 7 high mountains, higher than all the mountains which are on the earth. Thence comes forth hoar frost, and days, seasons, and years pass away, and vanish. I saw 7 rivers on the earth larger than all the others. One of them coming from the west pours its waters into the great sea. 2 of them come from the north to the sea, and pour their waters into the Erythraean Sea in the east. The remaining 4 come forth on the side of the north to their own sea, to the Erythraean Sea, and 2 flow into the great sea there. 7 great islands I saw in the sea, and on the mainland, 2 on the mainland, and 5 in the great sea. Enoch 78. The names of the sun are the following: the first Turges, the second Thomas. The moon has 4 names: the first Assinger, the second Ebla, the third Venus, and the 4th Era-E. These are the 2 large luminaries. Their circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and in size they are both alike. In the circumference of the sun there is a 7th portion of light wherewith additions are made to the moon, and definite measures are transferred until the 7th portion of the sun is exhausted. They set, and enter the portals of the west, and make their revolution by the north, and come forth through the eastern portals on the face of the heaven. When the moon rises she is seen in the heaven with the 14th part of the light, and in 14 days she becomes full moon. Also 15 parts of light are added to her, so that on the 15th day her light is full, according to the sign of the year, and there arise 15 parts, and the moon originates in the addition of 14th parts. In her waning the moon decreases on the first day to 14 parts of her light, on the second to 13, on the third to 12, on the fourth to 11, on the fifth to 10, on the sixth to 9, on the seventh to 8, on the eighth to 7, on the ninth to 6, on the 10th to 5, on the 11th to 4, on the 12th to 3, on the 13th to 2, on the 14th to the half of a seventh of all her light, and all her remaining disappears on the 15th. In certain months the month has 29 days, and once 28. Uriel showed me another regulation when light is added to the moon, on which side it is added to her by the sun. During all the period in which the moon is growing in her light, she waxes opposite the sun until the 14th day her light becomes full in the heaven, and when she is illumined throughout, her light is full in the heaven. On the first day she is called the new moon, for on that day the light rises upon her. She becomes full moon exactly on the day when the sun sets in the west, and she rises at night from the east, and shines the whole night through until the sun rises over against her, and she is seen over against the sun. On the side whence the light of the moon comes forth, there again she wanes until all her light vanishes, and the days of the month are at an end, and her circumference is empty, void of light. 3 months she makes of 30 days at her appointed time, and 3 months she makes of 29 days each, in which she accomplishes her waning in the first period of time, and in the first portal in 177 days. In the time of her going out she appears for 3 months, 30 days each, and she appears for 3 months, 29 each. At night she appears like a man for 20 days each time, and by day like the heaven, for there is nothing whatever in her save her light. Enoch 79. Now, my son, I have shown you everything, and the law of all the stars of the heaven is completed. He showed me all their laws for every day, for every season of bearing rule, for every year, and for its going forth, and for the law prescribed in every month, and every week. The waning of the moon which takes place in the 6th portal. In this 6th portal her light comes to an end, and after that there is the beginning of the month. The waning which takes place in the 1st portal, in its season until 177 days have elapsed, reckoned according to weeks, 25 weeks, and 2 days. She falls behind the sun, and in accordance with the order of the stars exactly 5 days in the course of one period, and when this place which you saw has been traversed. This is the picture and sketch of every luminary, as they were shown to me by their leader, the great angel Uriel. Enoch 80. In those days the angel Uriel answered, and said to me, Behold, I have shown you everything, Enoch, and I have revealed everything to you that you should see this sun, and this moon, and the leaders of the stars of the heaven, and all those who turn them, their tasks, and times, and departures. In the days of the sinners the years will be shortened, and their seed will be tardy on their lands, and fields, and all things on the earth will alter, and not appear in their season. The rain will be kept back, and the heaven will withhold it. In those times the fruits of the earth will be backward, and not grow in their season, and the fruits of the trees will be withheld in their season. The moon will alter her order, and not appear at her time. In those days there will be seen in the heaven a great unfruitfulness coming on the outermost chariot to the west, and she will shine more brightly than accords with order of light. Many chiefs of the superior stars will err, and these will alter their orbits and tasks, and will not appear at the seasons prescribed to them. The whole order of the stars will be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those who dwell on the earth will err concerning them, and they will be estranged from all their ways, and will err, and take them to be gods. Evil will be multiplied upon them, and punishment will come upon them to destroy everything. Enoch 81. He said unto me, O Enoch, observe the writing of the heavenly tablets, and read what is written thereon, and mark every individual fact. I observed everything on the heavenly tablets, and read everything which was written, and understood everything, and read the book of all the deeds of men, and of all the children of flesh that will be upon the earth to the remotest generations. Forthwith after that I blessed the Lord, the King of the glory of the world, in that he has made all the works of the world, and I extolled the Lord because of his patience, and blessed him because of the children of men. After that I spoke, Blessed is the man who dies in righteousness and goodness, concerning whom there is no book of unrighteousness written, and no day of judgment is found. Those 7 holy ones brought me, and placed me on the earth before the door of my house, and spoke unto me, Declare everything to your son Methuselah, and show to all your children that no flesh is righteous in the sight of the Lord, for he is the Creator. 1 year we will leave you with your children, until again a command that you may teach your children, and record for them, and testify to them to all your children, and in the 2nd year they will withdraw you from their midst. Let your heart be strong, for the good will announce righteousness to the good. With the righteous will they rejoice, and they will offer mutual congratulation. But the sinners will die with the sinners, and the apostate go down with the apostate. Those also who practice righteousness will die on account of the deeds of men, and be gathered together on account of the doings of the godless. In those days they ceased to speak to me, and I came to my people, blessing the Lord of the world. Enoch Slavonic 37. And God called one of his greatest angels, terrible and awful, and placed him by me, and the appearance of that angel was like snow, and his hands were like ice. He had a very cold appearance, and my face was chilled because I could not endure the fear of the Lord, just as it is not possible to endure the mighty fire, and heat of the SNN, and the frost of the air. The Lord said to me, Enoch, if your face is not chilled here, no man can look upon your face. Enoch Slavonic 38. And the Lord said to those men who first took me, Take Enoch with you to the earth, and wait for him until the appointed day. At night they placed me upon my bed, and my soul, expecting my coming by day, and by night, was a guard at my bed. He was terrified when he heard my coming, and I gave him directions that all my household should come, that I might tell them everything. Enoch Slavonic 39. Listen, my children, what things are according to the will of the Lord. I am sent today to you to tell you from the lips of the Lord, what was, and what is happening now, and what will be before the day of judgment. Hear, my children, for I do not speak to you today from my lips, but from the lips of the Lord who has sent me to you. For you hear the words of my lips, a mortal man like yourselves. I have seen the face of the Lord as it were iron that is heated in the fire, and when brought out sends forth sparks and bronze. Look at the eyes of me, a man laden with a sign for you. I have seen the eyes of the Lord shining like a ray of the sun, and striking with terror human eyes. You, my children, see the right hand of a man made like yourselves assisting you. I have seen the right hand of the Lord assisting me, and filling the heavens. You see the compass of my actions, like to your own. I have seen the measureless and harmonious form of the Lord. To him there is no end. You therefore hear the words of my lips, but I have heard the words of the Lord, like great thunder, with continual agitation of the clouds. Now, my children, listen to the discourses of your earthly father. It is terrible and awful to stand before the face of an earthly prince, terrible and very awful, because the will of the prince is death, and the will of the prince is life. How much more is it terrible and awful to stand before the face of the Lord of lords, and of the earthly and the heavenly hosts. Who can endure this never-ending tenor? Enoch Slavonic 40. And now, my children, I know all things from the lips of the Lord, for my eyes have seen from the beginning to the end. I know things, and have written all things in the books, both the heavens, and the end of them, and their fullness, and all the hosts, and I have measured their goings, and written down the stars, and their innumerable quantity. What man has seen their alternations, and their goings? Not even the angels know their number. I have written down the names of all. I have measured the circle of the sun, and I have measured his rays, and his coming in and going out, through all the months, and all his courses, and their names I have written down. I have measured the circle of the moon, and its waning which occurs during every day, and the secret places in which it hides every day, and ascends according to all the hours. I have laid down the 4 seasons, and from the seasons I made 4 circles, and in the circles I placed the years. I placed the months, and from the months I calculated the days, and from the days I have calculated the hours. Moreover, I have written down all things moving upon the earth. I have written down all things that are nourished, all seed sown and unsown, which grows on the earth, and all things belonging to the garden, and every herb, and every flower, and their fragrance, and their names. The dwellings of the clouds, and their conformations, and their wings, how they bring rain, and the raindrops, I investigated all. I wrote down the course of the thunder and lightning, and they showed me the keys, and their guardians, and their path by which they go. They are brought forth in bonds, in measured degree, and are let go in bonds, lest by their heavy course and vehemence they should overload the clouds of wrath, and destroy everything on earth. I have written down the treasuries of the snow, and the storehouses of the hail, and the cool breezes. I observed the holder of the keys of them during the season, and how he fills the clouds with them, and yet does not exhaust their treasuries. I wrote down the abodes of the winds, and I observed, and saw how those who hold their keys bear balances, and measures, and in the first place they put them on a balance, in the second they let them go in measure moderately, with care over the whole earth, so that with their heavy breathing they should not shake the whole earth. For I have measured the whole earth, its mountains, and all hills, fields, trees, stones, rivers, all things that exist I have written down, the height from earth to the 7th heaven, and down to the lowest hell, the place of judgment, and the mighty hell laid open, and full of lamentation. I saw how the prisoners suffer, awaiting the immeasurable judgment. I wrote out all of those who are being judged by the judge, and all the judgment they receive, and all their deeds. Enoch 82. Now, my son Methuselah, all these things I am recounting and writing down, and I have revealed to you everything, and given you books concerning all of them. Preserve, my son Methuselah, the books from your father's hand, and commit them to the generations of the world. I have given wisdom to you, and wisdom to your son, and to your children that are yet to be, that they may give up to their children, generation unto generation forever, this wisdom that passes their thought. Those who understand it will not sleep, but will listen with the ear, that they may learn this wisdom, and it will please those that eat better than good food. Blessed are all the righteous, blessed are all those who walk in the way of righteousness, and sin not, as the sinners, in the reckoning of all their days in which the sun traverses the heaven, entering into, and departing from the portals for 30 days at a time, together with the heads of thousands of this order of the stars, together with the 4 which are added, and divided amongst the 4 portions of the year, which lead them in, and enter with them 4 days. Owing to them men will be at fault, and will not reckon them in the reckoning of the whole course of the world. Yea, men will be at fault, and not recognize them accurately. For they belong to the reckoning of the year, and are truly recorded forever, one in the 1st portal, and one in the 3rd, and one in the 4th, and one in the 6th, and the year is completed in 364 days. The account thereof is accurate, and the recorded reckoning thereof exact. For the luminaries, and months, and festivals, and years, and days, have been shown and revealed to me by Uriel, to whom in my behalf the Lord of the whole creation of the world has given command over the hosts of heaven. He has power over night and day in the heaven to cause the light to give light to men, sun, moon, and stars, and all the powers of the heaven which revolve in their circular chariots. These are the orders of the stars, which set in their places, and in their seasons, and festivals, and months. These are the names of those which lead them, who watch that they enter at their appointed seasons, who lead them in their places, in their orders, times, months, periods of dominion, and in their positions. Their 4 leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year enter first, and after them the 12 leaders of the orders who divide the months. And for the 360 days there are the heads over thousands who divide the days. And for the 4 intercalary days there are the leaders which sunder the 4 parts of the year. Of those heads over thousands one is added between leader and leader, behind the position, but their leaders make the division. These are the names of the leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year which are ordained: Melchiel, and Helamelech, and Meligal, and Neril. The names of those which they lead: Abneril, and Ijesuzael, and Ijelumiel. These 3 follow the leaders of the orders, and 1 follows the 3 leaders of the orders which follow those leaders of positions that divide the 4 parts of the year. In the beginning of the year Malchiel rises first, and rules, who is named Tamarani, and son, and all the days of his dominion whilst he bears rule are 91 days. These are the signs of the days which are to be seen on earth in the days of his dominion: sweat, and heat, and anxiety. All the trees bear fruit, and leaves are produced on all the trees, and the harvest of wheat, and the rose flowers, and all the flowers bloom in the field, but the trees of the winter season become withered. These are the names of the leaders subordinated to them: Bakael, Zalbisiel, and another who is added ahead of 1,000 called Helojasiph, and the days of the dominion of this are at an end. The other leader who is after them is Helamelech, named the Shining Sun, and all the days of his light are 91 days. These are the signs of the days on the earth: glowing heat and dryness, and the trees bring their fruits to ripeness, and ripen, and mature all their fruits, and the sheep pair, and become pregnant, and all the fruits of the earth are gathered in, and everything that is in the fields, and the winepress. These things take place in the days of his dominion. These are the names, and the orders, and the leaders of those heads of thousands: Gediel, and Kael, and Heel, and the name of the head of 1,000 which is added to them, Asphael, and the days of his dominion are at an end.